Thank you for joining us for You Make the Difference. I'm Wanda Scarborough, and I have as my guest today Dr. Eddie Groover. And Dr. Groover has served as the president of the Atlanta Bible College.
Atlanta Christian College.
Atlanta Christian College, and he is presently the chancellor for Point University.
Yes.
We're so glad to have you today. Let's start by saying, what does a chancellor do at a university?
I get that question fairly often, Wanda, and chancellor in our case means former president, an ambassador for the president of Point University and for our community. I do some teaching. I've been a member of the faculty since I was 25 years old.
Wow.
And so I love to teach, but I also love to make friends and to see old friends and to make new ones.
Yes. And what's the mission of Point University?
Well, we exist to educate people for Christ-centered service and leadership throughout the world. That's a concise statement of our mission, and I think it's a very accurate statement of our mission.
Yes, and I was thinking about that mission this morning, and I think that when LaGrange College began, they had a mission that was very similar. They were training people to go out and impact the world. So that's an amazing mission. Tell us a little bit about what you do globally.
Well, we educate people from around the world. We have had students from various nations through the years. We also go extensively. Members of our faculty and staff educate pastors in various nations around the world, especially through an organization called Seminary of the Nations, which is separate from us, but a lot of our people are involved in that work. We also have a number of people, including alumni, who are involved in Global Scope. This is an organization that sponsors campus ministries in various parts of the world. A lot of our people have some connection with that work. So it's part of our heartbeat.
Yes, and y'all send out students in the local community also, right?
We do. We have days of service. We had a day that we called Impact in the fall, and people were involved in helping various ministries all the way from Atlanta to Opelika and here in Troup County and over in Chambers County, Alabama. So all around, and we will continue that kind of activity as we move forward.
Yes.
We get broad participation from faculty and staff and students in that kind of work.
Now, Atlanta Christian College was 75 years old when the decision was made to move to West Point?
We're actually in our anniversary year right now.
Okay.
And so the decision was made just a few years ago, but we have had 75 years of continuous service ever since 1937.
Wow.
And prior to that, however, it's kind of interesting to me. In 1907, there were conversations among a number of people, including perhaps our founder, about the possibility of establishing a Christian college deep in the South, and one of the very first places they considered was West Point, Georgia.
Isn't that something?
So here we are 105 years later.
Yes.
And it's actually happened.
That's right. So I would think that when they were deciding that, the future was attracting them to West Point, that there was something in Atlanta that needed to be accomplished, and so it went to Atlanta first, and now it's in West Point. And it's interesting to me that it was in East Point, and now it's in West Point.
Yes.
And I really like how you have had a play on words with West Point and said that what we're about is Jesus Christ.
Yes, pointing people to Christ, and our name honors our East Point chapter and our new chapter in West Point, and it also does call attention to the significance of pointing people to Christ and pointing culture to Christ.
Yes. What was some of the deciding factors on coming to West Point out of Atlanta?
Well, it was a fascinating process. A number of communities approached our school with various proposals. Here's an opportunity, here's some facilities. But the Valley came forth with the most to offer.
Oh, really?
And facilities that are just ideal for us, and a lot of private public partnerships.
Yes.
The cities of the Valley, West Point, Lynette, and Valley, have really been very, very active. The community welcome is overwhelming.
Yes.
Absolutely overwhelming. It's you can cut it with a knife. It's so thick, and so it is a joy to be sharing in these first few pages of the next chapter of the life of our school.
Yes. And so tell us about how West Point and Valley, tell us what they've done for you.
Well, where do you start and where do you end? It is an ongoing partnership. The Sportsplex in Valley, Alabama is, that's where we play our football games, and our students have access to facilities at the Sportsplex. It's just a great
Yes.
asset. West Point has been working very hard on making athletic facilities available to us just across the river
Yes.
from the academic center. It's just an everyday occurrence where you find out that the cities are doing something else to make it really a welcoming place for us.
Yes.
It does feel like home. There's a sign at the city limits that says "Welcome Home," and it really does feel like home.
Yes. And you have beautiful facilities.
Absolutely. Very, very ideal for what we are doing. The academic center was once the corporate headquarters of West Point Stevens. I saw it before renovation, and just a marvelous transformation has taken place. It is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
It impresses students and faculty and guests. It sells itself. So we love to welcome people to campus and to show them around, and just let us know you're coming.
Yes.
But Mary Susan Underwood, who's a member of our staff, specializes in welcoming guests to our campus. Just contact Mary Susan, let her know you're coming.
Wow, so anybody can.
Yes, we love to work with groups, but individuals are also very welcome.
Okay, and you also received a gift from one of the West Point residents in the Parr House, right?
Absolutely. The Parr House is about a block from the academic center. It's a very short, easy walk up the hill. And the Parr family, Mrs. Parr, gave us that residence in memory of her late husband, Bill Parr.
Yes.
And it is a great place to welcome alumni and guests, and we will use it for receptions and for entertaining special guests often in the years to come. It's a presidential hospitality facility.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's some history
Yes.
with the house.
It's 102 years old.
Yes.
It was built for W.C. Lanier in 1910, and it is an elegant home.
Yes.
Beautiful home.
Yes. Okay, and tell us, what kind of degrees do you offer?
Well, we offer baccalaureate degrees. We also offer some associate degrees. But baccalaureate degrees in everything from biblical studies to business, humanities, English, and a long list of offerings.
Yes.
It is a growing list of offerings. So we are a Christian university, broad curriculum, emphasizing Christian service and leadership, but realizing that that takes many different forms. It is not exclusively through the church. It's also in many other areas of life.
Yes.
That we seek to educate people for. One of our slogans is "Take the cross everywhere," and we mean that for every graduate, not just for those who go to the churches for service.
Yes, because you want your students to be equipped to impact business, education, arts
Yes.
and entertainment,
Yes.
the government, media, the church, and family.
Absolutely, and you state it very, very well. We read some of the same books.
We do.
I know we do. And indeed, that is what we desire to do. It's our passion to make a difference in the world, to build the kingdom of God.
Yes.
Through active service in all kinds of areas of life.
So how many students came to Point University this fall?
We had nearly 600 traditional students.
Yes.
Who call the West Point Academic Center their academic home. On top of that, nearly 900 students are in Access, our adult education program. So in all, nearly 1,500 students. Though those who are in West Point number nearly 600. We have access sites all the way from Savannah to Birmingham,
Wow.
Peachtree City, East Point, and West Point.
And so those are where people can take classes online, or?
Some online education is available. A lot of this is available in intensive form 1 day a week,
Yes.
1 evening a week. Nearly 600 students come to the East Point campus, which we still have control of, up about 10 minutes from the airport.
Yes. And no, I remember when we were talking before, you had said that when Atlanta Christian was going to make the transfer to West Point, you kind of expected the enrollment to drop off.
We thought it might,
Yeah.
because of commuters in the Atlanta area. In fact, our traditional program grew by 20% last fall.
Yes.
So in the midst of that transition, we had the very positive news of growth, continuing growth. We've been breaking records year after year in recent years, and we see that continuing.
Yes. And I remember some stories about when you were making the transition, how you brought some students down to West Point to view the area.
Yes.
And to plant the vision.
Yes.
of the transfer of the school. How did that go?
Well, our president, Dean Collins, called together a number of students, in fact, surprised them. They didn't know where they were going. They simply got texts and telephone calls saying, meet at the administrative building and we'll be taking a trip. And so about a half dozen students came with the president and made a video that day, came back to campus and shared that when the announcement of the move was made. And so there has been strong enthusiasm among the students about this new home.
That's wonderful.
It's been received very, very warmly by our student body.
Yeah, and I know that West Point has received you very well. I remember that I heard that there were people that welcomed the buses that came in of the students. And also when I came down, I noticed that on the bridge in West Point, there were some flags there. And what did those flags say?
Yeah, there were a half dozen banners there. And the banners read, Point University, Influencing Culture for Christ.
Yes.
So that's That's very affirming,
Yeah,
very welcoming.
yeah, the city has embraced
Yes,
Point University, and Point University has embraced the Greater Valley area.
for sure.
Yeah,
It is mutually beneficial. It is a great home, and we couldn't be more pleased with community support from folks on both sides of the state line, Chambers County, Troup County, and beyond.
yes.
Just a very, very warm, enthusiastic welcome. And we look forward to decades and decades of partnership in the years to come.
And y'all have a lot of sports that you offer also to both the boys and the girls that come to college.
Yes, we've got lots of offerings. We're into some sports that we've done for many, many years, basketball and soccer, for example, baseball. But we're also getting into football, and
Yeah.
this year, in fact, was the first time we did intercollegiate football, and so we're looking forward to that. There is a lot to offer for athletes, student athletes who desire a place where they can actually play.
Yes.
And in a smaller university, the opportunity to play is much greater than it is in a larger university.
That's
I
right.
think that only is
Yeah.
kind of self-evident.
Yeah, it is. Now, if I were younger and I was looking for a college and I came to talk to you, how would you sell me on coming to Point University?
Well, I would want you to come and visit our academic center. I want you to go and see the sports complex and student housing, see all of the facilities, but more importantly, to meet our people.
Yes.
We are a community. Community is taken very seriously at Point University, and it is something that I don't take for granted. I've worked with our school for more than 40 years, but I don't take it for granted. I celebrate it every day.
Yes.
So I would just want you to come and meet students in particular, but meet faculty and staff, and the welcome that we feel from the community, I believe others will feel from us as they come and visit. So that's where I would really want to get someone on campus and introduce them to others. I'm just one spokesman among many for our school, and there's nothing quite like a satisfied customer, and talking with our students, I think, is very, very, very important.
I do too, and I can attest to that. You took me on a tour, and I enjoyed going through, and the atmosphere is very welcoming. And even like going through and seeing the students who they didn't know me, they acknowledged me,
Yeah.
and it was there's a warmth there.
There is, and I've been on campuses that I will just, not specify, but through the years, I've been on some very large campuses where I felt anonymous. At Point University, you don't feel anonymous.
Yes, yes. And also you have great professors there.
We really do.
And you hired some of those professors, didn't you? They're still with you.
Well, in earlier years,
Yes.
some of the veterans on our faculty, I helped to recruit.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that we have a significant number of people who've been with us for decades. We also have some great young faculty members too. So it's a very, very vibrant and enthusiastic faculty. I was looking at some slides just yesterday of our faculty in 1955, and about 7 or 8 people were on the steps of our classroom building posing for that photograph.
They're still there?
No.
No. Okay.
But the number has gone up significantly.
Oh,
so
I
much
see.
so that I can't tell you how many faculty members we have right now.
Yes.
That number grows steadily, and the number of majors has grown steadily over recent
yeah.
years in particular.
Yeah. There. So I saw on the website you have 18 majors.
Yes.
Yes, that's right. And
And stay tuned because that number will grow.
it will grow.
Yes.
Yes. I know that because you have been with the college for so many years, that you probably have some real good stories, God stories. Would you like to share one of those with us, how you've seen God work?
Yes. Well, one that comes to mind very quickly is the story of a man from India who came to Atlanta thinking he might want to study in a university and to focus on becoming a manager of a hotel. He ended up on our campus, and through the influence of a Christian woman who had urged him to come to Atlanta, he enrolled in our school, and we had the privilege of helping to form the life of Rajan Ipe from Kerala in southwest India. His daughter, in later years, came to our school. I had the privilege of visiting Rajan and his family in India, and I know about the work that they are doing in that place. And that's just one story among thousands of stories.
Yes.
That I can tell of, of the transformation, the development that Christian education can affect.
Yes. And talking about people who've been there, recently I talked to the owner of our Chick-fil-A, Josh Sales.
Yes, a graduate.
Yeah, and he's a graduate of Point University.
Yes.
And he was telling me that when he arrived in LaGrange and started his business, 3 days later he found out that Point University was coming to West Point.
Right.
So that was really nice.
Right.
Now, being a part of the college, has that opened you up to more travel? Have you been into a lot of different countries?
I have. I've had an opportunity to travel a good bit. I also have sons in the airline business.
Oh, that's nice.
Or the industry.
Yes.
And so I can take advantage of passes. But I have had the opportunity to travel to several continents and to get acquainted with the world beyond.
Yes.
That's a real blessing.
What are some of the things that you did in other countries?
Well, I've done a variety of things, all the way from simply being a tourist to being engaged in some teaching and preaching, visiting alumni in various parts of the world. So what I've discovered is that I'm at home in many places beyond the South.
Yes.
For example, in Japan, we have had quite a tradition of alumni serving as missionaries in Japan. And our founder, Judge Dio Hathcock, was the director of a mission to Japan. And when I spent a couple of weeks in Japan, about 15 years ago, I remember speaking to a group and saying that I felt as though I was already at home because of the work of our founder and so many alumni who've worked there as missionaries. So that's just one example.
Yeah. And you know, when we're in the presence of God, with the people of God, we are at home, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah.
We are. There is an instant affinity. There is a common relationship with our Lord and with His people.
Yes. Can you tell me, are there any new developments that Point University is going to do in the next few years?
Well, we do aspire to continued growth. We expect to see new majors. We're also anticipating the expansion of our work perhaps toward graduate degrees. There's work that has to be done there before we can announce it.
Yes.
But we are hoping and praying that will happen.
Yes, and you have a fine music department?
Extraordinary.
Yes.
And we have a beautiful fine arts building just across the street from our academic center, another place that folks need to come and visit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and you have coordinated with one of the churches down there, and they had a Christmas program, or you had a Christmas program at one of the churches?
Yes, we had a Christmas, several Christmas concerts at Spring Road Christian Church in Lynette, but we have a number of chapel services, communion services at various churches, including the West Point Presbyterian Church, which is just across the street from our academic center, and the Lynette United Methodist Church. We've been welcomed by all of the churches of the Valley. It is phenomenal.
Yes.
And we are very, very grateful.
Yes, and I heard from one of the ladies in West Point that I guess it was a professor had taught a Bible study at her church, and how much that meant to her.
Yes.
Yes.
We have a lot of our folks who are plugged in seriously to teaching in churches and service in a variety of ways. So relationships are growing by the day.
They are. And I know I was down in West Point around Christmas time, and it was night, and I went to eat pizza, and the pizza place was full, and town shopping was brisk, and so I know part of that has to be because of Point University and the students that are there.
Yes.
But I also know that those students are going to make a difference, more than just in shopping. They're going to make a difference with who they are, because they know who they are in Christ, and they're going to reach out to our community. And I'm so thankful that Point University is here. Thank you for watching You Make the Difference, and be sure to join us next week.